a cheaper GoPro alternative. If you look for a good and affordable action camera, Akaso always have something new and fresh. 4K video shooting with good image stabilization, bright and easy to use touchscreen, and a lot of good features and shooting modes packed into just $120. Good enough? We'll find that out. Welcome, Tech for Our channel. Michael is my name, and we as usual inspect some cool tech. This is the latest, I don't know if it's the greatest, from Akaso. The model is called Brave 6 Plus, a brand new 4K action camera model. And if you're wondering why the heck this audio quality is so good, actually it's because I'm using an external microphone, but I need to tell you that this is not the external microphone of Akaso. It's actually connected to an external recorder, kind of a basic setup that I use very often for such kind of recordings, because I thought I don't really need the one here, and it seems to be proprietary because I tried a lot of different connectors. None of them worked. If you're wondering about the quality of the internal microphone, then yes, it picks a lot of surrounding noises. Frequency response doesn't seem to be that good. You heard that thing which was just passing by. So basically, yeah, not a perfect internal microphone. But if you want to put the focus on yourself and kind of eliminate all these surrounding noises, then I definitely recommend using an external mic. If we exclude GoPro, DJI and Sony, the rest of the action camera market is rather not too interesting, unless you look for something very budget-friendly, and Akaso have established themselves as one of the most popular budget-friendly action camera brands with excellent quality-price ratio and a good after-sales support. And these cameras are clearly getting better and better. This thing costs $120, and if you look to get your first action cam or want to upgrade to something 2020-ish without spending too much, the Brave 6 Plus is quite a good choice. I cannot say it is the best device of its kind ever, but has a lot of strong sides, and if placed side by side with most competitors, does an excellent job. So definitely not from the class of DJI Osmo Action or GoPro Hero 8 series, but it can easily challenge smaller brands like SJCAM, Firefly and so on. This is the most premium feeling kind of unboxing of a Akaso camera yet. Very good idea to start with a welcome message. And in terms of branding, Akaso have gone a long way. You can see the camera right away, and the rest of the space is used for the accessories, which are quite many and are grouped into these 3 carrying pouches. And from practical standpoint, this is an awesome idea. You can either use the pouches or probably find a nice carrying case like the one I most often use. Check out the description for more info about it. I'm gonna start with what I like the least, and note that this is all personal opinion and you may feel otherwise about it, but the build quality with the Brave 6 Plus is something that doesn't strike me with durability. Feels like cheap plastic is being used, and as weak points I can show the side door and particularly this front lens cover. Such a thin plastic layer doesn't feel trustworthy, and I bet it scratches easily, so applying a self-made screen protector sounds like a good idea. And you can create one yourself out of a basic smartphone screen protector. For a fact, Akaso keep the same form factor and frame materials as the previous generation of the Brave. Tech specs are way more promising if we explore what's on the inside. For people that find these terms scary, well, there's an easy-to-use touchscreen with good navigation, no lag while shooting, true 4K, and generally decent for its price point performance. In geeky words, very capable processor by HiSilicon, which is known for its excellent performance, 13 megapixel Sony Exmor sensor, which is famous for being featured in their other bestseller, the V50X. We have a 1350 mAh battery, Wi-Fi, support for external microphone, and even voice commands possible. Combined with all the accessories we've seen during the unboxing, it truly is a feature-packed device and seems to be a great choice for filming different events, biking, hiking, generally all these action-based sports where using a smartphone won't be too easy. While I keep guiding you through the softer features, pay attention to the videos and their quality. Just for the statistics, the sensor of a GoPro Hero 8 is around 30% larger than the one inside the Akaso Brave 6 Plus, but of course we talk about 2 very different price segments. Controlling the device happens either via a touchscreen, or the buttons, or a remote, or via the voice commands. I think I like most of the touchscreen, and keep in mind that I've decided to keep the pre-installed protector, which makes the colors a little paler, but keeps scratches away. Navigation is well simplified. You have two major shooting modes, video and photos, and drilling down into each one of them, you're gonna reach the specific pro-oriented options like time-lapse, slow motion, diving mode, and so on. I like the idea because having too many choices in the main menu could confuse people that never used such a camera. The supported resolutions start from 720p and are up to 4K at 30 frames per second. Not bad at all, considering the fact that image stabilization works with the highest resolution, and in fact it's pretty good. I find it to be even slightly better than on the mentioned V50X model. Slow motion can be at 90 frames per second at its highest, and that's okay, not perfect, but not too bad either. Using the voice commands is also easy, but I'm not that used to voice commands anyways. Success rate for a non-native speaker like me was rather good, maybe 9 out of 10 times I didn't have to repeat the command and the camera was doing as I say. In terms of audio quality, I find the internal microphone alright, definitely not among the best out there, but certainly not that bad. It's a little unfortunate to see that Akaso seem to have developed proprietary connector, and right now only their microphone can be used with the camera. I've tried microphones from other brands like SJCAM, Firefly, even the DJI Osmo connectors. None of these actually worked. At $10 it's not too much, and the quality seems to be acceptable from what I've heard from other videos. Analyzing the image quality only proves what most of you may have expected from this sensor. Even in daylight, there will be some noise because the sensor is very small, and if there is not too much of sunshine, you will start noticing the imperfections of the footage. There's nothing wrong with that, especially knowing about the price of the cam. Exposure, sharpness, contrast and saturation seem to be good enough, and the more you use it, the more we confirm that it is actually the same as the Akaso V50X with slightly different housing, in my opinion slightly worse, a Type-C port, and voice commands, and for that upgrade, Akaso charges $20 more than what we pay for V50X, which is still my top pick if you ask me about a suggestion for the best budget action cam. The shooting modes that you can use are enough to satisfy most people, besides Full HD in both 30 and 60 frames per second. The same is with 1440p. 4K is up to only 30 frames per second with rather good image stabilization, time-lapse, still photo, slow motion. All the popular shooting modes are available, and even a dedicated diving mode. Like most of the other Akaso cameras, this one is great for shooting underwater, because the housing lets you control every single bit of the camera features, something that is quite impossible to accomplish on cameras that are entirely touch-based. And together with the remote, you're well equipped to shoot in any kind of conditions. Actually, if the image stabilization is disabled, you're gonna notice how impressively smooth the footage is, especially when used as a dashcam. One thing to note though, like the Akaso V50X, there still is the chance audio and video to eventually go out of sync. Most of the files had slight deviation from the accurate numbers, and instead of 30 frames per second, they were like 30.03 or 60.07 if I was shooting at 60 FPS. However, I didn't notice such an issue in my testing even after prolonged shooting. There also is a smartphone app called Akaso Go for easily downloading your videos and photos and controlling the cam. 3 different choices of shooting angle: wide, which I use for most of the recordings, medium, and narrow. And since the narrow and the medium are softer cropped, you may notice some artifacts, and unfortunately there is no super view mode like with the GoPros. The stabilization is really good. I think it can challenge much more expensive cameras, while the whole package of stabilization and image quality is not as great as on a GoPro camera. Paying 1/3 of the price for Hero 8 Black sounds like a pretty good deal to me. You will notice that downhill with a lot of bumps was at acceptable quality even at 60 frames per second, and if you switch to a 30 FPS resolution, things are better and quality is surprisingly good. If I have to sum up everything about the Akaso Brave 6 Plus, well, it's a little more expensive than the predecessor. This is hell of a deal, and combined with the external microphone, you get a pretty good vlogging setup for only $130, or even less if you use that discount code I have for you in the description of the video. This is probably the maximum you can squeeze out of that price, and combined with rather good after-sales support, quite pleasing packaging, and the cool voice commands, I can definitely recommend it, especially if you're on the hunt for a not too expensive action camera. That's been it for this episode. Make sure to check some more videos from my pretty large collection of action camera reviews. Have fun, enjoy life, take good care of yourself, and hope to see you in the next video. You know what to do in case you enjoy these minutes. The thumb up button, subscribe, and right next to that, the little bell icon to remind you about our next video. Bye!